Hi everyone, this is long overdue, but I'll try my best to explain how I make Moonbase Alpha sing. Once we enable text-to-speech in the options, anything that you type in chat will be...
Read out loud.
it'll be...
Read out loud.
The brackets and apostrophe are examples of some syntax that we can use to tell it exactly what to do. Inside the square brackets, I put specific named sounds it can make, also known as phonemes. Here's another example. Here's the phoneme for h, l, o. Put it in square brackets, and it becomes
hello.
I can also use symbols to modify it more, such as this apostrophe to emphasize the o.
Hello.
And the best part, you can use syntax to change the pitch and length of each spoken phoneme. Changing the length, and moving the pitch up 5 semitones. Yeah, that's basically it. Tutorial over, thanks for watching. Well, I guess I could explain a bit more. First, the chat has a character limit of 128, so I can't just copy-paste entire songs. However, you can queue up more if you just leave out a closing bracket until the very end. So you see it hasn't started singing because there's no closing bracket. And there's one at the end here, so it'll continue everything that has queued up. So I can use this to put together some longer segments.
I wanna always be with you.
So yes, my process involves figuring out all the pitches and timings in text form, copy-pasting 128 characters at a time, and recording the game audio. Now I'll walk through my process. Let's make this segment of an anime song. This is an Excel sheet that I always use. It's much easier for typing out the sounds, lengths, and pitches. And I wrote a macro that puts it all in the brackets and stuff that I showed before. First I sounded out in terms of those phonemes the program can send out. So for that I heard na, ga, you. So I just type it out here. And all of these are phonemes that I basically memorized ahead of time. You can also use an underscore to say nothing to space things out. I usually use this when there's a pause. There's the first part done. Now I figure out the notes. Here I'm using Reaper. I'll sound things out by ear. I set up keyboard shortcuts to change the pitch of a single item by 1 semitone. My background in YTPMVs makes that dumb method more natural to me, but you can do it however you want. What's important is the notes in terms of number of semitones. We can figure out the math later. It is Excel after all. So now I've figured out the song in terms of semitones. So it's like 22, 22, 22, 22, 20, 18, 13, 20, 18, 17, 13, 15, 15, 15. My voice doesn't reach that low, I'm not good at singing. I'll mark down the pitches. And I also need to figure out the basic rhythm. I usually try to count out the number of quarter notes or eighth notes in my head. So, naga yu me, miru ko, etc. So, 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes, 2 quarter notes, etc. Now I have one form of the notation of the song. We need to use the numbers that the text-to-speech uses. For length, it seems to translate into milliseconds, but each semitone adds a random number of milliseconds at the beginning that I haven't looked far enough into to be 100% precise yet. So for now, based on the speed of the song, I'll guess that I should treat 1/8 note as 100. And 2 is 200, and so on. And with the power of Excel, we could just use formulas. To copy and paste the values of formulas, you hit paste, and then Control, and then V. And for pitch, the note C2 in music is number 1 for this text-to-speech. In Reaper, I've thought ahead and been pitch shifting the note B1. It's 1 semitone below C2, so when I pitch shift it by 1, it translates into the 1 that the text-to-speech will recognize. If I hadn't thought ahead, these are still the right ratio up and down, so I just need to figure out how many up or down to go. And it would just be a simple Excel formula. And we have a rough version of the song. If we've done everything right, it should be moderately recognizable. One of the scripts I wrote will read these cells and make it into the lines of syntax so we can copy-paste into the game. Let's take a listen. That sounds okay. The timing is off, both from the estimation of an eighth note being 100 and each phoneme is acting differently, but now I can use my secret method that I've devised. First, I record the off-timed song. I'll be using a Reaper to assemble it. I'm using Stereo Mix as an input device. That was a lot of troubleshooting, so I can answer any questions in the comments. Now I chop it up and try to get it as close to the proper timing as possible. It's a lot easier in an audio editor. The key is to only split and move the clips, splitting through the midsection of the notes. Here you can see each part starts and ends at the right time. The reason I'm doing this, if there's an overlap, that's a subtraction of milliseconds. And if there's a gap, that's an addition of milliseconds. So I go through and add or subtract, using the time selection to see precisely how to tweak my original numbers. So for example, here I need to add 157 milliseconds to ga. And over here, I need to subtract 77 milliseconds from you, etc., etc. I'll sing and record this again, and we'll see how it sounds. And that's quite a lot closer. Usually I tweak this another 2 or 3 times, but I just repeat this process over and over again, and then it's done. I didn't write this far in the script, but I think that's about it. See ya!